Welcome to the Travel Proof Blueprint. So, today I'm going to show you how to drop 20 pounds and stay lean without relying on a gym or social occasions and to be able to sustain your results year round. Because one of the biggest things I see with high performers is the fact that it's not that they don't have a plan that can get them results, it's that they don't have a plan that can survive social occasions, meals out, travel, client dinners, and all that side of things. So without further ado, let's dive in. So I've been in this for 12 years. I've worked with 400 clients, and I can tell you the strategy has not changed over those 12 years. There's loads of fads, there's loads of things nowadays where, brand new strategies, things like that. This is the exact same formula. Now, yes, it has evolved, but it's the same process works. I've helped over 400 clients to do this. I've even worked with CEOs, athletes, and celebrities to drop between 15 to 50 pounds. So by the end of today, you're going to learn how to drop 10 to 20 pounds without calorie counting or spending hours prepping meals, how to eat out, travel, and socialize without sabotaging your results. And I'm going to share a few tips to be able to use AI to be able to effortlessly hit your nutrition goals without having to count your macros, but ultimately stop the yo-yo cycle so that you're not losing 10 pounds and regaining it back multiple times per year, and ultimately build a body that performs like your business. So to get the most out of today, close down your tabs, make sure you got pen and paper, take some notes or take notes on your computer. And remember, this is a system. So remember, we'll do questions at the end, but make sure that you show up for this. So this was some of the results that I've achieved for myself. I was able to drop 13 kilograms. I was able to build 7 kilos of muscle. And, before this, I was able to lose weight and get super lean, but I got to the point where I completely burnt out because I was spending hours in the gym. I was running myself into the ground. My injuries got worse. Then I had to take medications and I got stomach ulcers and heart palpitations and then insomnia. And I basically had to quit my job. So I've lived this where, it's not necessarily a willpower problem, because sometimes if something doesn't work for you sustainably, running yourself into the ground is not the answer. You do have deadlines, you've got other priorities that you need to focus on. So the thing that I found is that there's an easier way, that you can focus on a habit-based approach, a flexible system that works with your life. And it's a case that you shouldn't have to rely on hours in the gym and restrictive dieting in order to see results. As soon as I realized that, everything changed. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever started eating well on a Monday, only for Thursday, or a week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, everything goes out the window? We've seen it before: client dinners, airport food, business trips, hotel breakfasts, socializing. And it just creates that yo-yo pattern. All the effort of the week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks you put in, all gone out the window in a weekend or with one trip. And then, life gets busy, life gets in the way. And then we have to start this process over and over again. So this isn't a discipline problem. This is actually a systems problem. So pillar number one is stop chasing diets, build a nutrition and lifestyle operating system. Because one of the biggest myths is that you just need more discipline. And it's not 100% true. Leaders are already disciplined. Most clients I've worked with, they've built a company, they've started a family, they've led a team, they make high stakes decisions under pressure, they show up every single day when it's hard. There's no lack of discipline there, but they haven't found a system that works for their life that's actually sustainable. And if you are a high performing individual and you value efficiency, and you know that putting loads of effort into something when you know you're just going to end up back where you started isn't a lack of willpower, it's just smart. Because why would you put in loads of effort and run yourself into the ground to not see a result? That to me is dumb, right? So imagine running your business like this: no CRM, no SOPs, no systems, no processes. It just wouldn't work. It'd be chaos, right? Yet that's how most leaders look at their nutrition. They don't want to think about food because, why should you have to? Because they don't have the system that's built for this. You're thinking constantly about what they need to eat next. Is this healthy enough? And then when you're overloaded with work, the last thing you want to do is spend loads of time planning, prepping meals, thinking about, the next week. So willpower will run out, but systems don't. And the leaders who are in shape year round, they don't have more motivation than you. They just have better systems and they have a flexible approach that actually works for them. Now, I want you to think about this. A £1 million racehorse. How would you look after the nutrition of that horse? right? How would you look after its lifestyle, right? You would prioritize it, wouldn't you? But yet, most leaders do not prioritize their health. They try to with unsustainable systems, which means they can't. But the thing is, you don't have to choose between your body and your business. The two go hand in hand. The better you operate, the faster you can go. So it is critical that you actually make this a priority. Now, it doesn't mean you have to spend hours prepping. So, Donald, for example, when I worked with him, he dropped 13 pounds in weight loss. He actually came to me because his doctor was going to put him on statins. He had extremely high blood pressure, extremely high cholesterol. And within 3 months, while traveling to Germany every week, so he'd fly in on Sunday night and he'd fly back on Thursday every single week, right? So he only had a couple of days at home. So he was constantly on the go, staying in hotels. Yet he was able to drop 13 pounds in weight over 12 weeks. And he was also able to get all his health metrics back within the normal range. Richard was able to drop 39 pounds in 6 months. And then Saeed was able to drop almost 12 kilograms in 12 weeks as well with a sustainable approach. So these are the four big challenges that I see time and time again with busy, high performing leaders. Number one, there's no consistency. Number two, they struggle with stubborn fat. So no matter what they do, they just can't get rid of the belly, the love handles. They lack time and it doesn't last. So if they lack consistency, what you want is momentum every day. And the way that we do this is by having a custom blueprint that is tailored to you, that's flexible, and by focusing on simple habits and by optimizing your sleep. That gives you the energy, you've got more drive, you make better decisions. For stubborn fat, we look at CEO friendly fat burning meals. So it's a flexible macro approach. We can use AI as well. So I've got an AI food scanner that will scan your food so you don't have to track macros. And then the Plateau No More system. So this is essentially the system for tracking and optimizing your fat loss results so that you never hit a plateau. And if you do, you know exactly what small things to tweak and adjust to get results. Lack of time, minimalist training. Loads of people are relying on, the training plan that they followed in their 20s. So I follow the 3-2-1 strength method, which is 3 short workouts per week, 2 sets per compound exercise, and just 1 session of mobility or cardio per week. This is under 90 minutes of training in the entire week. And again, if you're super busy, like Donald was, you're traveling to hotels, you can just follow 5 to 15-minute on the go workouts as well. You don't need to spend hours in the gym to see results. I'm also focusing on longevity and movement. And then for results that don't last, this is the big one, right? Because, anyone can drop 10, 20 pounds, but then they put it back on again 6 months later, a month later, a year later. So it's building the lifestyle. So following the 90-day blueprint. So I have a 90-day process every quarter where you're able to at least maintain, if not slowly progress your results. And then the travel blueprint. And this is what we're diving into today is really, it's the travel blueprint and a little bit of the flexible macro. So that's kind of an overview of the system that I follow. The framework I use with my clients is we do a full audit. Okay. I'm going to be offering this for free, by the way, for just 5 people. We do a full audit of their fitness, their nutrition, their lifestyle, and also their stress and sleep. Then what we do is we go through a phase of restore, where we're then building habits, rebuilding their foundation, optimizing their hormones, and starting to drop fat. Then we build the engine and then we lock it in. So building the engine is, again, dropping fat, building muscle, advanced strategies around that, and then sustaining results for life. This is what the full process looks like that I use with my clients. But anyway, we're not here for that today. So if your nutrition only works when life is perfect, then it is not a system. So the first pillar is you don't need another diet. That's the summary. So for pillar number 2, traditional nutrition was never built for your life. So you are probably trying to follow the plan that works in your 20s in your 40s, right? You might be late 30s, 40s, 50s, and it's not going to work for you. So let me ask you this. So put a 1 in the chat if you meal prep every single Sunday. I'd love to know. So like, traditional plan is, meal prep every Sunday, all your meals home cooked, fixed routine, you're tracking all your calories, you're hitting the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and you're hitting your perfect week, and you're doing 10,000 steps a day, right? And I know most of you just don't have the time to do all of that. Versus your reality, you're going to the airport, you're eating out with clients, your schedule might change daily, and maybe in place of this, you're doing 12 to 14-hour days at the desk. You're eating out in restaurants. You might have to, do with a hotel gym, or maybe you don't have time for the gym. This is real life. Okay. So different life, different rules. Most plans are not going to work for you, and you're not 25 anymore. So, you're going to have higher levels of stress. Your recovery might be impacted. So, therefore, we need to adjust your training and your nutrition accordingly. You might have less sleep quality, either quantity or quality. Maybe you're going to bed late or inconsistently because of workload. You're going to be losing muscle every year. So, again, we need to train for that. And your hormones are going to be different. So, the rules have changed, but your strategy didn't, right? You're trying to run a high operating system on Windows 95. So, there is a much simpler, easier, better way. You never failed your nutrition, it failed you, and you're running the wrong playbook. So, that's the summary of pillar number 2. So pillar number 3 is the travel blueprint. I'm going to touch upon an intro to the flexible system that will allow you to sustain fat loss and not sabotage your results every time you have a client dinner, every time you go on holiday or vacation. So inside of this, we use a combination of protocols for travel, hotels, eating on the go. I'm going to teach you something called the traffic light nutrition system. And then we're also going to implement some basic parts of the CEO behavior change blueprint, which is focusing on 3 small habits every week. I've got a 12-week system for this to create a 12-week transformation, but I'm going to give you the foundation so you can start implementing this today. So the traffic light system, let's start with this one. So this basically means that you have green days, amber days, and red days. So an amber day, this is where you hit your macro goal. So hopefully at this point, you should know your macronutrients targets. If you don't, then just go to macro calculator. And what you can do is you can go to Claude or ChatGPT and say, work out my macros with a 500 calorie deficit. Here's my height, my weight, my age. Here's how often I exercise. Here's how many steps I do. So let's just say, for example, 185. Let's go for some 86 kilos right now. I'm exercising 4 to 5 times a week, and I want to lose about half a kilo per week. And therefore, my macro is going to be about 2,200 calories per day. The protein range, this is way off. So actually, we just want to take the calories from this 2,200. So that would be my fat loss target. And if I wanted to maintain weight, it's probably going to be about 2,700. So let's go back into this. So 2,200. So that's going to be your calories. Your protein, you should be aiming for about 1 gram per pound, especially if you're training. So if let's say I weigh 86 kilos times 2.2, it's 189 pounds. So then I should be eating about 189 grams of protein per day. If you're not training, then I'd say 0.8 grams is going to be the minimum. So let's say that times 1.89, then I'll be aiming for 150 grams of protein per day. So that would be my amber day. Okay, whatever your fat loss macros are, that's your amber day. Okay, so that's what you aim for. Hopefully that makes sense. So you're aiming for amber 80% of the time. And the reason this is important is because, you're not going to hit your perfect calories every day. Like you eat 24, let's say you go over by 200, let's say you go by 600 calories, right? A lot of people just say plan's gone out the window. That doesn't matter. Your calories add up over the week, not over the day. Really, really, really important that you understand this. So, you can go over some days, you can go under other days. As long as it balances out over the week, you're good. Does that make sense? So that's why with the traffic light nutrition system, you're aiming for amber days most of the time, right? We're not going to plan in red days because they're just going to happen. Okay. You have a friend's son's christening, right? Or you have a client dinner, or whatever it is. That's going to be a red day. Okay. So your calories go over. Cool. That's absolutely fine. As long as you've got enough amber days and maybe 1 green day, that will offset the red day. So that way you can look at your week flexibly and not throw the plan out the window. Now, what happens if you're away for multiple days or you're away for the week? Then all we do is we look at over a 2-week, 3-week period, for example. So it might be that what you can do is reduce your amber days just a little bit less. So for me, instead of eating 2,200 calories, I might eat 2,000 calories, so 200 less for the week leading up to it. So that would give me, an extra 1,400 calorie deficit over the week on top of my deficit, if that makes sense. So that would mean that I've got more calories to play with when I'm away. So you want to think of it like a budget, right? Like with finance, right? So you've got a certain amount of money that you earn in, and you've got a certain amount of money that you can spend. If you know you're going to spend a lot more, then just spend less the week before and the week afterwards. That's just a quick analogy of how you think about the traffic light nutrition system. Now, I've got an entire system built around this. If you book one of the 5 performance audits that I'm offering today, then I will give you the exact step-by-step structures. They come with a couple of different cheat sheets and things like that, but I'll give you the exact 7-step framework for the traffic light nutrition system. All you got to do is book a performance audit, and I'm actually going to audit and assess your current nutrition, lifestyle, fitness, stress, and create you a 90 minutes per week or less, or a 10 to 15 minute per day plan that you can follow to guarantee that you drop 10 to 20 pounds. And I'm going to help you create that completely for free. The reason I'm offering these is because I know that if I do 5 of these audits, I know at least, maybe 2, maybe 3 people of those 5 will be interested in finding out more. And if you're not, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to give it away for free as a free coaching session, no strings attached. And I know, look, if you're interested in knowing more, you're going to reach out to me. You're going to ask me about it. That's why I'm offering these for free. But I've only got time for 5 of these. So do drop me a message if you want one of those. So remember, fat loss happens over the week. Work out your macros, figure out what your amber day is. Don't plan in the red days because they're going to happen, but you do want to plan in a green day, right? Think about it like this. If you eat loads on Christmas Day, you're probably not going to be as hungry the next day. So that would be the best day to do a green day, is right afterwards or right before one of those days where you're going to go over on your calories. Is that making sense? The other thing that you can do is, for example, like if I'm going out for dinner tonight, I'm, instead of having 2 or 3 meals during the day, I'm probably just going to have maybe 1 small meal, very low carb, high in protein, and then maybe a protein shake. So again, I'm going to probably eat 500 to 1,000 calories less than I would throughout the day, so that I've got essentially 1,000 to 1,500 calories that I can consume for dinner in the evening. That way I can enjoy myself. If I want a burger, steak, whatever, I'm going to enjoy myself, and I don't have to restrict in that sense because I'm eating less throughout the day. So intermittent fasting, probably take electrolytes, and I'm going to plan my day accordingly. Does that make sense? So the second part here is having non-negotiable habits. If you don't set non-negotiable habits, I promise you, your results are going to go out the window. Even with the traffic light approach, without knowing how to adjust your macros, adjust your results with the plateau approach, without knowing how to be consistent year round, then it's going to help, but you might just stay where you're at. So it's really, really important that we stay mindful of your non-negotiable habits. So what do I mean by that? Is setting 3 habits every week, non-negotiable, and hitting them. Now, if you have a busy week, your non-negotiable habits are most likely going to be, let's say that let's say you don't have a busy week. Maybe you hit the gym 3 times. Maybe you can do 6,000 steps, and maybe you're going to focus on hitting your protein goal, right? Those would be your 3 habits as an example. Now, let's say you've got a really busy week and you're traveling. Okay, cool. Well, you might not be able to get to the gym, but maybe you can do 2 15-minute workouts, or maybe you can hit a step count. Maybe you can hit your protein target. Maybe you can just get 7 hours sleep. So you want to think about simple habits that 100% you can stick to. And then the 4th non-negotiable habit I haven't put here is really it's tracking your results. Still doing your measurements, still tracking your weight, ideally doing it every day in a fat loss phase so you can see those smaller trends. But if you're away traveling, at least checking it once a week at the very minimum. Because look, if you let it go for 2, 3, 4 weeks, you've got a busy week, you've got deadlines, you're traveling a couple of times in the month, and you don't track anything, you will gain weight, most likely, right? And there's a study that proves this. It shows that over the Christmas time, they took 2 groups. One group tracked their weight every single day, and the other group didn't. The group that didn't, they all gained weight. The group that tracked it, they all sustained their weight. Some of them even lost a little bit of weight. And what that shows is what gets measured gets managed, right? Just by keeping your eye on a metric means you're going to make more mindful, conscious decisions without any additional willpower. Just you being consciously aware of it means you're going to make, a small percentage or a percentage better decisions without conscious effort. So you must track something, okay? Which is why I always recommend, okay, at least track your protein, maybe your sleep or your steps or your water intake, some simple things like that, but also track your weight. Does that make sense? So it's so important that the non-negotiable habits and your tracking does not go out the window when you're away. This has to become a lifestyle. Otherwise, you're never going to step into the identity of the healthier version of you that is lean year round. If at periods throughout the year, everything just goes out the window, then all you're doing is you're trying to offset the results. You're always trying to play catch up with yourself, and you're never going to get anywhere if that's how you live. Does that make sense? So by building this habit, This is what's going to allow you to really, really get the results. Now, AI food scanners, these can work really well. Take it with a pinch of salt. It's not going to be perfect. But ultimately, for you to reach your goals, you have to hit your macro goals. Yes, hormones plays a part, and yes, sleep is critical. Exercise is really important. Ideally, you're doing some form of consistent strength training. But if you hit your macros, you're much more likely to hit your goals, right? So, how do we hit our macros? Number one, you can track your macros, which is the least sustainable way of doing it, but you can do that for a short period of time. Number two, you can do a photo food diary, or you can use a portion control approach. Works pretty well, but it's a bit intuitive and it's not always going to be the most accurate. So it can help to get you started. It can help to maintain at points. So using a food scanner is a good in between. You can take a picture of your food, it will scan your food and it will give you an estimation of your macros, which means you don't have to track them yourself. Does that make sense? So with my clients, built into the app, we have an AI food scanner that will do all of this for you. You just take one snap and forget about it. And then the next food, take a snap and it will scan and it will update your metrics. I can keep an eye on that on the back end. But you can use Claude, you can use ChatGPT. You can, if you want, take a photo of everything you eat for the week, upload it into Claude or ChatGPT, ask it for feedback, let it know for what's your macro breakdown for today. And again, just being conscious of this, you are going to make better decisions. So using an AI like this can be super, super helpful. If you want a free demo of the AI food scanner, drop me a message. What we can do is book in, get your free audit, and I'll give you a free 7-day trial, and we can go from there. So remember, this does not replace coaching. It does remove decision fatigue. It can help you get clarity, but it is not going to help you replace coaching. It's not going to give you the entire system blueprint that you need in order to get results. So, and then obviously there are protocols that you can follow. General rule of thumb, when you're traveling, take protein with you. Every time I travel, I'm always taking at least 50 to 75 grams of protein sources with me while on the go. And this works anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at. I was able to maintain my results on my honeymoon. I was able to go away to 4-day events in London and actually lose weight as well when I wasn't fully in control of my food. But I followed my non-negotiables. I tracked my protein. I got my steps in. I followed my own non-negotiables. And look, this doesn't just work for me. This is Satnam Singh. He dropped 8.8 kilos in the first 7 weeks. He dropped 15 kilos in 16 weeks. And this was, I believe, 16.7 kilos after 18 weeks of working with me. And he did this with just 15 to 20-minute workouts throughout the week. He had back pain at the beginning of it, no more back pain. He says before he was restricting carbs, he no longer restricts carbs, and he's got way more time for his side hustles, and he's not living in the gym. Again, there's loads of results. I've got a whole page full of them. If you don't believe me, I can take you through them. But these 3 pillars that we're covering today, they all multiply each other. So if you want the strategy and you want help with execution of this, and you want to stop starting every Monday, then build your travel proof blueprint. I will give you the worksheet as well. And if you want the full complete system and the traffic light blueprint and also the travel cheat sheet, then just go ahead and book in your call with me as well. So I'm just going to jump ahead now. So you've got a couple of choices here. So you can do this yourself. You can implement what you learned today, or you can let me build it with you. So if we work together, what we do is we go through your audit. I'm going to do an assessment of your posture to help do a custom build to create a custom training plan. That'll be fully customized, whether you want to work, whether we want to do 4 or 5 sessions at 45 minutes a week, or more likely 2 to 3 sessions at 30 to 45 minutes. So we can do it in under 90 minutes a week. I'm going to help you build habits and build each system that I covered earlier step by step, those 4 different areas, right? Then we do a technique review. I'll give you custom and supplement stack. I'm going to teach you my flexible macro system as well, the complete system, not just the travel side of things, but how to actually hit your macros every single week without effort. And I'm going to actually keep you accountable to that and make sure and guarantee you hit your results. Custom training plan. I'm going to teach you the traffic light system. And then from there, we're going to do a custom health analysis. And we can look at bloods or DNA testing. That's up to you. And then from there, I'm going to teach you the 365 result system, how to consistently get results every single month and create an entire high performance dashboard of your goals, your metrics, your non-negotiables for a busy week or in a non-busy week. And again, keep you accountable for that year round. Now, regardless of whether you are interested in working together or not, I do offer 5 of these coaching sessions, so these high performance audits. So for this, we're going to go through your travel blueprint. We're going to work out your macros. I'm going to help you create a plan for the next 30 days and actually build you your own personalized protocols. So if you want to book that for free, go ahead. I'll give you the link and you can book that. Again, there are only 5 spots, first come, first serve. I've only got so much time. It is a free coaching session. It is not a sales call. And again, like I said, anyone that's interested, I know it's going to be obvious. So it is genuinely a free coaching session. So that's why I can only offer 5 of them. But obviously, if you do want to know more about what it looks like to work together, we go through your blueprint and assessment, and then we go through these 3 phases to help you drop 10, 20, 30 pounds, whatever your goal is, build muscle, reduce pain, and create a high performance lifestyle that you can sustain year round in as little as 10 to 15 minutes a day. So we're going to dive into questions. So let me know